Okay, so I woke up to about 1,000 emails, text messages, phone calls, tags, chats on X in regarding this video. This is immigrants are openly buying food with food stamps and collecting it from charities and shipping it overseas to sell for a profit. I am going to watch this. I've literally clicked 3 seconds of this video. I have not watched this video or anything. But again, this is happening in Lawrence, Massachusetts. Apparently what they're doing is they're buying food, with EBT cards and or getting it from maybe a charity or maybe a church or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. They're shipping it back to the Dominican Republic, and they are selling the food for a profit in the Dominican Republic. At least that's what's being alleged here. Let's watch the video.
So right now we're in one of many stores in the Dominican Republic that are stocked with food paid for in the United States with food stamps, sent here on a boat in a blue barrel, put in these little bodega stores, sold here, and it's all being paid for by you, the American taxpayer. These are 50-pound bags of rice that are going to get shipped back to Santo Domingo.
I'm seeing these big giant refrigerator boxes and 55-gallon barrel drums being filled up with food. There's just so much fraud going on in this one city.
Yeah.
It's not even funny.
Food stamps were created to help low-income American households put groceries on the table at home. The program cost American taxpayers over $100 billion in 2025 alone. But in cities like Lawrence, Massachusetts, a chunk of that money isn't feeding Americans at all. Food bought with your tax dollars at local markets that accept EBT, along with groceries picked up for free from food bank lines, gets loaded into barrels, driven to shipping companies, and sent overseas to the Dominican Republic, where it gets sold for profit from food bank lines, gets loaded into barrels, driven to shipping companies, and sent overseas to the Dominican Republic, where it gets sold for profit in local markets. SNAP rules require that food stay in the household that bought it, but this fraud has been going on for years, and nobody seems to be talking about it. We spent weeks tracing the pipeline, from corner stores swiping EBT cards to vendors in Santo Domingo, who told us exactly where their inventory comes from. We talked to a delivery driver in Lawrence, Massachusetts, who's been dropping off packages on these streets for over a decade, and has been witnessing this fraud the entire time.
So I'm John, and
Wow, this video is from a while ago. There's still snow on the street. So this guy must have saw what was happening in Lawrence and then went over to the Dominican Republic. That's what must have happened. I'm assuming this, but that's the way it looks.
I've been working in this town of Lawrence, Massachusetts for a little over 11 years. I deliver products all day long, 6 days a week. I have about 35 stops a day where I interact with these people.
Okay.
Every day.
And when you say these people, we're talking Dominicans specifically.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. Dominican people, yeah. I've been witnessing the Dominican residents going to food bank lines and collecting non-perishable goods and then packing it in barrels and in boxes, and then they ship it back to the Dominican Republic.
So how do you know for sure that the people are buying this food that they're shipping back with the food stamps or, whatever other government assistance?
Right.
Some of them have openly told me and my wife that that's what they're doing. And then the other way is the math. The bag of rice that they buy here costs $30 for the 50-pound bag of rice, okay? That same bag of rice in the Dominican Republic costs $35. The only way you could justify that is if you got the rice for free.
So we're here at one of the main shipping companies in Lawrence, Massachusetts that ships food and other goods from here back to Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic. And you can see, for example, right here, look at these. You got giant bags of rice. These are 50-pound bags of rice that are going to get shipped back to Santo Domingo. So, again, you could just imagine that makes no economic sense to do that. The cost of shipping these bags of rice and paying for them would be more than simply wiring the money back to Santo Domingo and then buying the rice there. But you could see this isn't a one-off. I mean, there's got to be at least right here, at least 10 or more 50-pound bags of rice. And
right.
we're also...
So what he's trying to say here, that's what I'm trying to figure out in my head as he's talking. So the gentleman that was driving said that they're paying $30 for a bag, but you need to remember or realize that either A, they're getting it from a charity or a food bank, so they could potentially be getting it for, let's say, free, or they're using their EBT card to buy it, which is also essentially free for them, not free for us. And then what they're doing is they're shipping it back to the Dominican Republic and they're selling it for a profit. So it doesn't matter. I think what they're trying to say here, it doesn't matter that, let's say, the profit margin is only $5, because even if you were to ship this over there, the cost of shipping and getting it there and all of these other things, it wouldn't make any sense economically to potentially make $5. So the only way that they are making a profit on this is because they are essentially getting it for nothing. That's what I think is going on.
Told by the workers here that most of the boxes you see here are full of food. And if not full of food, it's food mixed with other goods.
And I'm gonna take you by right now to show you one of the bodegas that they sell the barrels. So these barrels are being used specifically for shipping products out of the country. Like I said, they get the non-perishables.
Right.
And here's all the barrels. Look at all the barrels.
Whoa, this is in front of a market right here.
Look at this. Look at all the barrels in front of the building.
Yeah, so they sell them. Now look, this is just one, right? Now we're gonna go do another corner store right over here.
Why is a meat market selling those barrels?
Because they buy them to ship out of the country. Here we go, more barrels at another bodega.
Stop.
For sale.
What is the point?
The point is that they fill them up and then they ship it back to their home country. They're sending the big giant jugs of cooking oil that cost $25, $30 here, same thing that they cost over there. So the only way that you'd be able to justify paying the shipping cost is if you got that for free.
Okay,
I've even seen them shipping cases of water. Why would you send water to an island unless you got it for free? Here's another one of these bodegas with these barrels. Now these barrels aren't trash cans. They're being used to ship the product.
We're here with Abigail, the wife of John. So could you sort of just explain very high level sort of like why you're able to see this fraud that's going on?
So I have to go into certain people's homes in order to assess them, take care of them. Many of them will have large boxes.
So she must be some kind of social worker or something like that. So she's actively going inside of these homes must be in this location, and she's seeing this happening.
Large bins in their
Allegedly.
apartments full of the food that they give out at the pantries here. And when I ask them what it's for, they say they mail it back so it can either be given to their families there or be sold in the bodegas there.
And they've told you
Oh, yeah.
this.
Yeah, straight, yes. A lot of them will go to the doctor, claim an ailment so that they get a medication, and then they'll mail that medication as well back. Those meds are sold in the bodegas in Santo Domingo. When you go to Santo Domingo, supposedly the two places they say if you're gonna come to the United States are Lawrence and New York City. They go to each food pantry line on a different day and they get all the non-perishables that they can and they ship them all back. One patient I went to in particular, I had asked her daughter, I said, why are you sending so much food back to Santo Domingo? And she goes, oh, my husband sells it in the bodega.
Have any of these individuals that have said this to you, like sort of even indicated that they know that it's the wrong thing to do?
No.
Yeah, they have no idea.
Not at all.
No.
Here's the thing, right? Like, I mean, when you have people that are doing this stuff inside of their country, and it becomes commonplace, let's say, this is what they do, right? And then you import a whole bunch of these people into our country, they're going to do the same exact thing that they were doing in their country as well, regardless if it's, illegal or not, basically, because that's innate. That's commonplace, right? So that's just the way that it goes. And they don't mind talking about it either. Like, otherwise, why the hell would they talk about it?
Entitled, they feel like that's what we come here for. We come here to get what we need. And
Exactly.
then a lot of them still have apartments here in Section 8, or they have bought homes on like special programs for immigrants.
Correct.
And now they're renting out those homes and they've moved back permanently to Santo Domingo. I know that for sure because I have a friend.
Wait a second here.
Have bought homes. That's what we come here for. We come here to get what we need. And then a lot of them still have apartments here in Section 8, or they have bought homes on like special programs for.
So if they're buying homes, right? Here's something that's going on here. If they're buying homes with, let's just say, a special program, right, for immigrants, like this woman said, most of these homes, if you're using some kind of special program or you're getting grant money, I mean, obviously I know about this because I'm in real estate. Those are primary residences. You cannot rent out. There's absolutely no way that you could rent out even if you're a regular conventional FHA, VA, PHFA home buyer, you cannot rent out your home because there's stipulations within the terms of the loan that you have to either wait a certain time period, you have to live in that property for a certain time period. Now, whether or not they did that, and whether or not, that stipulation is even within the bounds of the loan program itself, you can't do that. You can't just buy a home and rent it out. The reason that you can't do that is because when you buy a primary residence, you don't need the applicable 20%, 25% down as you would an investment property. So what she's saying is these people are getting homes with programs, they're getting them for probably a low percentage or barely any money down, and they're moving back to their countries, and they're renting them out in Lawrence, Massachusetts, pocketing that money. That's what's happening. I mean, Americans do this too. They try to, it's some level of fraud, right? Like Americans try to do this too. They try to buy a house as a primary, but it ends up being an investment property. You can't do that. It disrupts the housing market.
Immigrants, and now they're renting out those homes, and they've moved back permanently to Santo Domingo. I know that for sure because I have a friend on Facebook that was a patient of mine here and lives in Santo Domingo and still has a house here that she rents.
But as far as the food stamp fraud goes, is that like almost entirely Dominican?
Yeah.
How widespread, if you could give people an idea, is this food stamp fraud?
This is crazy.
Let's see.
Like the food pantry fraud, where they go and get the free food and mail it back?
Yeah.
I'd probably say about half the people I see.
Half the people you see?
Yep.
Half the people you see are getting food and shipping it back to Santo Domingo.
Either to their family or to be sold, yep.
So right now we're in front of one of the many markets here in Lawrence, Massachusetts that sell these blue barrels that people use to ship food back to the Dominican Republic. You can see them right behind me. And one thing that's interesting about all of the markets that sell these blue barrels, they also sell food, and they make a point in front of all their stores that they accept EBT. You can see that very clearly behind me.
Yeah.
Aceptamos EBT. It's there on the front door. Even on their signs here, the sign for this store, they advertise that they sell these blue barrels right there. And just to show you how widespread this isn't a one-off. There's another store right there doing the exact same thing. It says ATM EBT. You can see here on the sign for the store, it says Aceptamos food stamps. And then look at this. They're selling all these barrels, again, that people can buy, and then they go into the store and get their food with food stamps and ship it.
Nobody that's buying food is bringing food back to home in a damn barrel. I mean, it's just not happening.
It all back to Santo Domingo. So now we're going to go inside one of these stores, and we're going to show you what they're selling. So now we're inside the store, and you can see what they're selling here. Giant 50-pound bags of rice, just like the ones that we saw at the shipping company. And they also sell giant bottles of cooking oil. You can see here how many they're selling. That's what we've seen on the back of one of these shipping trucks. They pick these up and they ship them back to Santo Domingo, and that's how the EBT is being spent. Massachusetts has some of the most strict hidden camera and wiretap laws in the country.
Yes.
Which means we couldn't catch anyone admitting to the fraud on tape in that state. So we headed to New York,
by design,
where the laws allowed us to film on hidden camera. So we arrived in New York and we started looking for Dominican shipping companies. And it took us to this storage unit facility. It's called Storage Post. It's here in the Bronx. And what we noticed when we got here is that it appears that this place is being used by many Dominican shipping companies as a sort of storage hub. We went undercover in this facility, and one of the workers told us explicitly on camera that people are using EBT to fill up these boxes with food that they then ship to the Dominican Republic.
¿Este cuánto?
1.25.
Y este 1.40.
1.40. Con un arroz y un aceite, cualquiera de los dos.
¿Cuánto se toman llegar?
21 días.
21 días. ¿Cómo se llama? Bandera.
Bandera Shipping.
Bandera Shipping.
Y si uno paga con las estampillas por las cosas, está bien, no hay problema.
Eso no hace nada, la comida eso tú la compras como tú quieras.
Ah, ok. Es que ya ve cómo están las cosas ahora, por eso pregunto.
Es mala la cosa y la gente compra con sus cupones.
Sí, con los cupones.
Claro. No, tú puedes comprar con lo que sea.
Y muchos de los clientes de ustedes usan cupones.
No. Sí, ellos compran con cupones y llenan los tanques.
Right now, I am standing on St. Nicholas Avenue in Fort Washington, New York. And this is the home of a very large Dominican community. And the store that we're standing in front of right now is pretty interesting. If you look here, they've built a extended storefront. And behind this plexiglass, you can see a giant wall of non-perishable goods, and it's being advertised what the prices are if you buy in bulk. I've never seen anything like that in my life. Normally, if there's a store that comes out to the sidewalk with their goods, you'll be seeing them put up like maybe stands with fresh produce, fruits and vegetables, that sort of thing. But what I have never seen is a store with an extended storefront where they put up a wall of non-perishable goods. So now we're inside of this extended storefront, and it's being advertised the deals that you get if you buy in bulk. Let's just take a look at a few of them. For $5, you get 3 bags of pasta. For $4, you get 2 bags of whatever this is, some sort of beans. For $10, you're gonna get 8 cans of Goya's assorted beans. It's pretty obvious what's going on here. It's being advertised to the community at large. If you want to buy food in bulk, probably to ship back home, this is where you want to do your shopping. We're not alleging that this store specifically is engaged in any sort of fraud. They're just selling food. However, this is one node in a larger system of EBT welfare fraud in the Dominican community. Behind me is the Port Newark Container Terminal, and it is from here that tens of thousands of pounds of food, what likely amounts to millions of dollars of food, that has been paid for by you, the American taxpayer, is being shipped to the Dominican Republic. To see where all this food ends up, we followed the trail to the Dominican Republic, where shop owners told us exactly where their inventory comes from.
There we
now
go.
we're going inside of a store that's stocked with food that's paid for with your tax dollars.
¿Puedes explicar cómo me dijiste a mí, como tu familia, tus cupones, eso y luego lo mandan a usted o cómo es?
Eso ellos nos lo mandan para acá, en cajas.
Sí. Pero usan los cupones estampillas de allá como me dijiste.
Sí.
Sí. Todo esto viene de Nueva York.
Todo lo que está aquí.
So right now we're in one of many stores in the Dominican Republic that are stocked with food paid for in the United States with food stamps and sent here on a boat in a blue barrel, offloaded and then put in these little bodega stores and sold here. And you can see all this food behind me. You can see, for example, this comes from Tops. This comes from Tops here, traditional pasta sauce. It's sold for 350 Dominican pesos. We got ground pork, and this goes for 225 pesos. So this is what's going on. People who have family in the United States load up these blue barrels with food that they pay for with food stamps. They ship it here to their family members in the Dominican Republic, and the family members here sell it at a profit or use it themselves, and it's all being paid for by you, the American taxpayer.
We went to another store in Santo Domingo that was being run out of a woman's home.
What the hell is going
on?
on?
The owner explained to us how she gets her inventory from Charities in the United States.
So toda la comida aquí es de los iglesias en Estados Unidos?
De la iglesia,
De la
sí.
despensa.
De la defensa en la iglesia, sí. Con un carrito yo la busco.
Usted cuando va a las despensas allá, a las iglesias donde dan...
Could you
la
imagine
comida.
taking food from a food pantry or church, taking that food that people need and shipping it back to your home country to sell for a profit?
Y todo eso. ¿Le
What the
hacen
hell's going
enseñar
on?
ID o algo así o no?
Sí,
¿Y cuál ID enseña usted?
yo enseño de dominicano.
De acá.
Sí, es de aquí.
So she's now saying...
Yo no llevo mi pasaporte, yo llevo el dominicano, la cédula mía, el ID mío de aquí.
En un ID dominicano
De aquí, sí.
suficiente?
Sí.
Sí. Cédula.
para la
Sí,
comida.
sí.
Nada preguntas con los iglesias, nada
No
preguntas sobre
preguntan,
la ID.
no preguntan nada. Con ese me piden la dirección en que donde yo estoy viviendo donde estoy alojada, y yo le daba la dirección de mamá y el número de teléfono de mi madre.
¿Tú tienes los nombres de las organizaciones?
Yo tengo uno que le dicen el Army por la
Salvation Army.
138, por ahí, por la Lennon. Y hay otro que le dicen el Kennedy, que queda en la 135. La iglesia, hay una que le dicen el Buen Pastor, o hay otra iglesia también que queda en la 129, al lado de donde vivía mamá.
¿La iglesia católica?
Sí, sí, católica. Esa que yo iba.
I think that these people, the reason that she's telling this guy this information is because I think that they don't even know what the hell is going on. Like, I don't even think that they realize that, you know, they're taking food away that's free for people that actually need it. And then they are, like I said, this is commonplace in other countries. And it's second nature in other countries. It's just the way that it is. Otherwise, why would she even admit to this?
Buscar comida.
¿Cómo se dice aquí?
Codito.
Corito. So we have elbows here, ronzoni. What else do we got? There's a ton of Campbell's chicken noodle soup. Sopa. You got a bunch of these here. 100 pesos. So this costs 100 pesos. So that's about $1.50. So here you have, ¿cómo se dice? Arroz.
Sí.
Mucho arroz.
40 libras.
You got oats. You got cornmeal. You got lentils. So in this case, what's going on is the food is coming from charities in the United States. People are going to the United States, getting the food from these charities, and then shipping it back here or flying it themselves personally back to the Dominican Republic where they then sell it. Over the course of this investigation, we traced a pipeline stretching from corner stores in Massachusetts to shipping companies in New York to bodegas in the Dominican Republic. The most disturbing part is that throughout the entire investigation, no one acted like any of this was wrong.
That's what I'm saying.
The individuals we spoke to openly admitted to being part of a system of fraud, where food is collected from charities or bought with EBT and sold for profit. Signs of this fraud can be seen clearly in cities like Lawrence, Massachusetts, where blue shipping barrels are conspicuously displayed outside of corner stores. When food stamps were first introduced in 1964, the program served fewer than 400,000 people, less than 1/5 of 1% of the American population. Applicants had to appear in person at state welfare offices, pass strict income and asset tests, and have their eligibility certified by state caseworkers. Today, nearly 42 million Americans receive SNAP benefits, roughly 1 in 8 people in the United States, costing taxpayers over $100 billion in 2025
I don't even know
alone.
what to say.
Applications can be completed online in minutes, and eligibility rules have been broadened significantly over 6 decades of expansions. What began as a modest safety net for the most vulnerable has grown into one of the largest federal assistance programs in history, and as this investigation shows, it is being openly exploited. We are calling on federal authorities to investigate what we've uncovered, and we are prepared to share our findings with any legitimate investigative body.
So I don't even know what to say in regards to this. I'll link this video in the description below. They did a really good job here. So just so you understand, back in this section or over in here, they cannot fit. So Massachusetts has very strict laws when it comes to filming. All right. They have very, very strict laws when it comes to like any kind of undercover surveillance or stuff like that. That's why he had to go from Lawrence to New York, if you're wondering or if you didn't catch that. But this is not only, you know, like I said, this isn't, Dominicans aren't the only people that are gaming the system. Americans do it as well. The way that Americans do it is that you'll have, and I mean, this is the way it goes. You'll have somebody that has, you know, 2 kids or something like that. There's 2 working adults. They don't get married, and both of them are on public benefits because it's going off of, to my knowledge, individual income. So when you have people that are showing that they're only making X amount of dollars as a sole you know, as a sole person, basically, they're highly or more highly eligible to get stuff like EBT or housing benefits, vouchers, and so on and so forth, and they remain unmarried. This happens quite a bit inside of the United States. You know what I'm talking about. But this that even happens like undercover, but this is like out in the open. And like I said before, the reason that this is happening out in the open is because these people think this is just commonplace. It's just the way it goes, right? It needs to be. There should be stricter regulations on these programs. Massachusetts is in the hole, potentially almost and or over $400 million in regards to SNAP benefit fraud, whether it be accounting errors or fraud itself, right? That's what's going on. And we are in a position where we're going to be penalized because of that, because of more strict regulations when it comes to government welfare and or government benefits. So something needs to be done here. I mean, again, this even though he went to Massachusetts, even though he went to New York, this is more than likely happening across the country, right? It doesn't matter if the state is red, blue, purple, whatever the hell it is. It's happening all over the place. But I think that you got to realize the dynamic here. In states that offer many, many benefits to illegal immigrants or whatever it may be, of course, it's going to be easier to find the fraud inside of those states because, again, these people don't even think that they are committing some level of fraud. They don't realize what is. I think at least they don't. Maybe they do to a point and they just don't care. Let's be fair here. But I'm willing to bet that the people that are over there in the Dominican Republic selling these goods, they probably have no freaking clue. They probably have no idea, just because this is what they've become accustomed to do. And it's probably been happening for forever. So I'm happy to see more investigative reporting like this. I wish that he was able to, I wish that he was able to film some things that were actually happening in Lawrence, Massachusetts, and getting, let's say, behind the scenes information a little bit. But unfortunately, our laws here are really outrageous, and for good reason, right? And for good reason. So I'll link the video below. Ultimately, something needs to be done here. I think that I just find it absolutely outrageous that it's 2026, and think about all of the years that this has been going on. You know what I'm saying? Think about all the years that this has been happening. It just blows my mind. It really does.